What is up, y'all? Welcome back to The True Middle. I am your host, Paul Melakivi, and The True Middle is where we take a look at politics, faith, and business from a real perspective. Today, we're going to ask the question, is the economy that good? The press will tell you that the stock market is at an all-time high, unemployment is at an all-time low, consumer spending is up, the economy is great. Is that the truth? We're going to dive into it, guys. If this is your first time tuning into the broadcast, make sure you comment. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel. We're going to have new broadcasts coming to you on a consistent basis where we talk about things that impact the middle class, those things that are important to 90% of us, not the 10% of the rich and the powerful, but the 90% of the rest of us that are doing this thing called life together. So welcome to The True Middle. Again, my name is Paul Melakivi. I'm your host. I've been part of the middle class. I grew up middle class. I understand some of the intricacies involved in living this life. But we're going to dive into the economy. Is it really that good? So Donald Trump is boasting on how it's the greatest economy ever. Stock market is at an all-time high. Stock market is doing great. That means that everybody must be doing great, right? Wrong. That means that those that are able to participate in the stock market are doing well. Who are those people? Is this indicative of a good economy where the people that are doing well are those that are always doing well? It's going to be your millionaires, your billionaires, those that own businesses, those that have high executive jobs at these multi-million-dollar companies, the CEOs, the presidents, those that have a growing amount of income disparity between the rich and the middle class. So as the middle class stays stagnant, wages stay stagnant, we don't have discretionary income to invest. Those people at the top, the CEOs, the presidents, the executive of these companies, their wealth is increasing. Why? Number one, because the stock market is doing so well. So how is the stock market doing well? Well, the stock market is doing well because companies are making money. Companies are making money, so the value of their stocks are increasing, and people that have shares of those stocks, then their wealth is increasing as well. So who has shares of stocks? Well, all of your senior executives. Senior executives have compensation packages that often include stock options as part of their compensation. So they're able to buy the stock at relatively low prices or wherever the price is at when they start working for the company. Those shares increase over time. The value of those shares increase over time. So those that are in these executive positions, 5, 10, 15 years, the value of their stock increases as the company's share value increases. Why are those share values increasing? Well, the economy tells us the share values increase because companies are making money. Companies are making money because the conclusion is if companies are making money, that means that people are spending money on those products and services. And if people are spending money on those products and services, that means number one, that they must have money to spend. Number two, that they must be working. So your unemployment rate is low, which means that people are making money. They're able to spend on all these products and services. And three, if people are spending money, that means their outlook must be good. That means they must have discretionary income to spend. So, out of those statements, one thing is true. One thing that is true is the stock markets are going up because companies are making profits. And so, therefore, what we're saying is it's a good economy. The rest of it is false. So, people that are working in the middle class, our wages are not going up. We don't have this huge amount of discretionary income. So we are spending money. And the reason why that the stock market is doing so well is because we are spending money. Yes, we are spending money. Consumer spending is driving this economy. People are going to continue to spend money. Why? Because we are working. We are working hard. So the economy, or so to speak, the stock market is doing well because of the resilience of the American people, the hardworking people here in America that are spending their money. They're working hard. They're making money so they're able to spend it on goods and services. But what is not true and what is fundamentally wrong with this analysis is just because the stock market is doing well does not mean that everybody's doing well. 90% of us are not feeling the benefit off of this great stock market. Why? Because we do not own stocks, right? The average American has difficulty putting the money aside to invest in the stock market, to let that ride over 5 to 10 years, 20, 25 years, in order for it to increase in value to give them a nice return. So here's the problem. Americans are working harder. Americans are working more jobs. Yes, the unemployment rate is low, but that's a fictitious number that kind of gauges how many people are filing for unemployment. Just because people aren't filing for unemployment doesn't necessarily mean they're working. Yes, we are seeing that there are more jobs being posted, but the jobs that are being posted are not indicative of the skill levels of those employees that are looking for jobs. Jobs being posted are what? Your minimum wage jobs, your entry-level jobs, your retail jobs, your service industry workers, bartenders, waiters, waitresses, fast food restaurants, right? These typically call centers are hiring typically. So these are the more entry-level jobs, those that a lot of the middle class have. So what's happening? We are not seeing any wage increases. So people are going out and we're working two jobs, or we are doing side gigs or side hustles. So the reason why the stock market is able to increase, the reason why people are able to spend money is because the innovation and the resilience of the American people were finding ways to be more creative and ways to try to make some money for ourselves or ways to spend our money. So what's the downside to that is that we are not investing in stocks. Middle class is not investing in stocks. We're not realizing it's gain in the stock market. So our net worth, our wealth is staying stagnant. What we're going to do is we're going to spend money on recreational activities. We're going to go out. We're going to spend money on having fun. So we're going to go out. We're going to hang out with some friends. We may go out. We may buy some drinks. We may go out and buy some food. We may go out golfing, swimming, doing some recreational stuff. We may try to take some vacations. Ultimately, what we're doing is we are spending money on things to numb the pain of having to go to a miserable job that is not representative of our worth or our value. And so when we make a little bit of money, we go out, we spend it. Guys, this is a problem. At some point in time, the American people are not going to be able to sustain this consumer spending. There's going to come a point in time as the rates of our healthcare increase, as our healthcare costs increase, as our education costs increase, as the cost of our rents increase. We are going to get tapped out. We can only work with so much. We can only do so much side hustling. We can only create so much income with these jobs that are available to us that ultimately is going to hit a brick wall. We're not going to continue to spend it. When the American people stop spending their money, then you're going to see this drastic decline in stock prices. You're going to see anarchy in the markets. I'm telling you that if things do not change, this is the way it's going to be. So let's take a look at analysis of this. I was in the financial markets for a long period of time. I was a financial advisor. I was a trader. I was a market maker. So I have in-depth knowledge of how the industry works. Here's how it works. CEOs get stock options. Rich people get money. They invest in stocks. The price of those stocks then increase over a period of time. The stock market has become its own beast. The stock market is its own animal now, where it's not indicative of the true assessment of the economy. It used to be back in the day that if the stock market was doing good, that meant that people were doing well. It used to mean that people were positive about the outlook. It meant that there's jobs, that people were investing in their future, that they were buying stocks, that they had discretionary income. The stock market is driven by the rich people. Billions of dollars are being poured into the stock market on a daily basis. People that are just riding, quick ins and outs of stock, people that are just pouring money in to buy additional shares of companies that they are executives in. The tax breaks that the government has given to the rich people and to the companies has really spurred a lot of investment back into stocks, stock options of their companies and shares. What it has not resulted in is those companies pouring back into the employees. So there used to be a time where companies really invested in their employees. They put a lot of money behind them. You would get a salary, you would get good health care, you would get a pension plan, and they would offer you a 401k where they would match any contributions that you would make. Those days are gone. Number one, pensions are pretty much non-existent. There's very few pensions that exist anymore, which is a great way for the middle class to build wealth for themselves, right? 401ks are still out there, but there's less and less companies that are doing that. Those that are, again, the amount of companies that are matching your investment are decreasing. And so what we're seeing is that we're left to our own to invest, to try to find ways to invest in the future. And in doing so, we are causing a trend that is continuing to go down, is continuing to increase that gap, that income gap between the rich and the poor. We're not getting ahead. We are staying stagnant. Wages are not going up, right? there are jobs that are out there. The jobs that are being offered are all of your entry level minimum wage types of jobs. So people that are coming out of college with degrees that are $70,000, $150,000 in debt are resorting to having to go to these entry level jobs that aren't indicative of their worth, not indicative of their skill levels or their talents. They're burning themselves out, and then they're going out and they're spending money trying to dull the pain. Guys, we got to get out from underneath this. So there's some key things that we could do. So one thing that we can do as middle class people is that we do need to get involved in our politics. It is important who is in the government. It's important to the legislation that's being passed. It's important to know how these laws and regulations are being passed down to people. If we continue to have rich and powerful people in the government making the decisions, then the regulations are all going to go and benefit the rich and powerful people. We have to be more involved. We have to elect people that come from a middle class background, that have struggled, that understand the struggle, that can identify with our pain and know that the truth of the reality is that we are struggling, we are falling behind, and we're getting tired and we're getting exhausted. And at some point in time, it's going to be problematic for this country to maintain this economic powerhouse that we are. Things will start falling apart. People aren't spending money. That means what? Companies go out of business. As companies go out of business, they have to lay off people. As people get laid off, then they don't have income, so there's less, so they're not paying rent. So then property values are diminishing. Stock values are going down. People have to start liquidating stocks because they're not making money otherwise. Stock market values start going down, and it's a snowball effect that's ultimately going to wreck the economy. So we have to be proactive. We have to make sure that we get engaged in our politics. And I know a lot of you are disappointed. A lot of you are discouraged about the options. I get it. It's going to take some time for us to make those changes, but the changes only happen when you get engaged and you make it happen. You have to get engaged. You have to have more people that are in it to win it, more people that are on the ground level that are helping make the decisions and elect these officials to put policies in place that benefit us. Number two, we have to be better stewards of our money. Now, I got it. Most of us sit down at the end of the week, every 2 weeks when you get paid, you're looking at your paycheck, you're trying to manage your bills. Oftentimes there's a lot of pay Peter to pay Paul type of scenario because you don't have enough to go around. I got it. But we have to find ways to get involved in building our wealth. There's 3 ways you build wealth. 3 ways, and we'll get into some broadcasts later on to discuss these 3. 1 is real estate. Number 2 is the stock market. And 3 is through owning businesses. Now, a lot of these things are out of reach for most of us here in the middle class because of the fact that we don't have the discretionary income. We don't have the ability to invest money in a new business venture for the fact that it may not make money, it may fail. We can't afford that. We don't have the necessary down payment to buy all of this real estate in order to get involved in real estate holdings. So the one thing that we can do, though, is we can invest in the market. Yes, there used to be a time where you needed $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to open an investment account. I was involved in investments at the time when I first started my career. It was for high net worth individuals only. You couldn't open an investment account if you did not have the discretionary money of tens of thousands of dollars to invest. It was part of the application process. That is no longer the case. Thanks to innovation, thanks to some regulations that have changed over the period of time, thanks to the creativity of the community, of people, of business leaders, we've developed some ways that we can get involved in the stock market now with very minimum cost. I'm going to show you guys in a different broadcast how you can get investing with just $5. $5, you can open an account. It's kind of a bank account that allows you to have an investment side to it. You get a debit card. You open the account. You can take $5. You can contribute that to some stocks. You can do some direct deposits. You can transfer money from your checking account into your investment account. It also allows you to continue to invest in stocks without even investing your own money. That's fantastic. So if I told you you could do something, you can get involved in the stock market for $5 and you can continue to make more investments without putting more money into your investment account. You can't tell me that we can't all do that. The way that you do that is through these stock back purchases. So now they offer debit cards, just like a bank card, where you go as you spend money at retailers, at food establishments. You go out, you go into McDonald's, you go to Walmart, you buy gas at the gas station. A percentage, usually 1% to 2% of the money that you spend on that purchase is going to be credited to your investment account in the form of stock back. You're not adding any money. It's just simply giving you a return on the money that you already spent. This is a great option for us, a great way for us to build some exposure to stocks. Now, it does give you options on where to invest. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to put a lot of time in studying stocks. There's mutual funds and things like that you can invest. But just invest in things that you know, things that you're comfortable with. But we have to get engaged. We have to find ways to start engaging in the stock market. So the economy is not that good, guys. Don't believe the hype when the press tells you that the economy is great, that it's the best it's ever been. Yes, the stock market is high. The stock market is the highest it's ever been, but that is not indicative of the economy. The economy is indicative on how we are doing financially as individuals, how the middle class is surviving. Are we able to afford luxuries of life? Are we able to send our kids off to college? Are we able to go on vacations? Are we able to invest in these high ticket items? Are we able to purchase cars when we need to purchase cars? Are we able to eat? Are we able to provide for our families? Are we able to keep up with our healthcare costs if the emergency comes and lands in our lap, right? We have to go to the hospital. Can you afford the emergency medical bills? Chances are you can't. And in doing so, we're all floating in debt. Debt is a huge problem with us. There's a lot of good politicians out there that are coming up with some creative and innovative ways for us to get ahead. I encourage you all to check out, a lot of these Democratic presidential nominees, find out what their platforms are, find out which ones resonate with you. There's some that are talking about healthcare, ways to change our healthcare system, ways to change student loans. Some of them are advocating, student loan forgiveness is totally wiping out your student loan debt. There's some people that are advocating for universal basic income to allow us all to have extra money. The government just gives you $1,000 a month just for being an American citizen. So there's some great solutions that are on the table. There's also some solutions that are being left aside because some of the candidates that were advocating for these are no longer in the race. I did another broadcast earlier where we talked about the lack of diversity and the fact that a lot of these minority candidates that have some great programs and policies to help the middle class and the poor are being eliminated from the contest. So now it's leaving just the same old rich white people, non-diverse candidates to advocate for the same old tired policies that we're used to. So we need to find ways to pick up the mantle, to take on these issues and these policies that were introduced by some of these candidates and keep them on the table. Let's keep them in the discussion. Let's find ways to make sure that we're able to look at these things and see them through and find politicians that are able to adopt and pick up on these to help us out. Guys, we're in the middle class. We're struggling. The income disparity is getting larger. Stock market is roaring. Stock market is an all-time high. Do you feel it? If you feel like you're being left behind, comment, let us know. I'll be curious as to know how you feel about the economy. Do you feel better today than you did 5 years ago? Do you think you have more money today than you had 5 years ago? Are you working harder? Are you working less than you were 5 years ago just to keep up with the bills? Comment, chime in. Let's talk about it, guys. Let's put our resources together. Let's share ideas. I encourage you to subscribe to this channel as we bring on new broadcasts. We're going to talk about a lot of these things and get the ball rolling. I thank you for tuning in, guys. This is The True Middle. I am your host, Paul Melikivi. Make sure you subscribe, comment. I will see you next time.